pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On April 7th, a team of 6 high school volunteers and 2 doctors headed to Malawi in Africa as part of a nonprofit initiative called Bridges to Malawi. It's a program we've participated in for, I want to say, like 10 years now. This crew returned on April 22nd. This is a group whose mission is to provide medical care to the people of Malawi, which is one of the poorest countries in the world. Dr. Brian Liss is the Associate Clinical Professor of Emergency Medicine at Tufts and the president and founder of this group. It used to be called Bridges to, was it Nicaragua? High school juniors and seniors are selected through a scholarship program and are trained in tropical diseases and ailments they're likely to see in Malawi. 2 students from Neshoba went, 3 students from Hudson High, and Marlboro High School junior Herson Reese. Did your brother go years ago? Did Peter? No, I thought he did. Okay, all right. That's who. Okay, the whole Hardy clan. If you would like, we could certainly bring this young man back. He's probably just getting his legs under him, but those are always moving presentations when they come and tell us about what they've learned. So happy to bring him to a May meeting. I also wanted to talk about the workforce development session that we recently had on April 10th. This was a collaboration between the MEDC, the Marlboro Public Schools, joining forces with our local employees in STEM fields to design a pipeline that will provide relevant education and training to Marlboro students to support the city's growth industries. This was held on April 10th. Mayor Arthur Vigent, MEDC Executive Director Meredith Harris, and myself met with a group of Marlboro employers, including GE Healthcare Life Sciences, Boston Scientific, Quest Diagnostics, Raytheon, Marlboro Hospital, Davis Companies, Patriot Ambulance, among others, to learn more about their current recruitment practices and what we can do to help fill that pipeline. The meeting was held in collaboration with the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development and Partnerships for a Skilled Workforce. It was held on the site of GE Healthcare Life Sciences, U.S. headquarters right here in Marlboro. It was also attended, we were very lucky to have the Labor and Workforce Development Secretary, Rosalind Acosta, who stressed the importance of this type of public-private collaboration to the future of this community. It was a great event, and we hope to see more in the future. I've also included some artwork that was provided by Supervisor of Visual Arts, Julie Baker, and these are the following students who will be representing Marlboro High School this year at the Congressional Art Competition. Brianna Bradley, Savannah Loris, Samantha Lucero, Lindsay Silva, Kelsey Thal. This is an annual competition hosted by Congresswoman Nikki Tsongas, and it supports high-quality arts programming, of which we are very fortunate to have in our schools, and it promotes artistic talent and achievement among young artists. This is judged by a panel of area artists, and the winning student will have his or her artwork displayed in the United States Capitol for 1 year. All artwork, if you'd like to see it, will be on display at the Congresswoman's Lowell office, and an artist reception will be held May 1st at 5:30 to announce the overall winner and the runners-up. And so for your enjoyment, I've added these pictures, small though they are, but it gives you a flavor. 2 more quick things I wanted to mention that are not in the report. I do have a tentative schedule, and I would invite you to join the members of central office and myself. As soon as we finalize the schedule, I'll send it to you to greet our staff members, not just teachers, but all of our staff members in Teacher Appreciation Day. We can't possibly visit everyone in one day, so I'm looking tentatively at May 8th and May 9th. I know the mayor will join us on at least one of those days. We'll firm up the schedule and I'll send it to you. You're certainly welcome to join us on our rounds. And we have a lovely giveaway this year, which you will all have as your own little takeaway. One other thing, and this comes under the heading of you never know when you're a superintendent what you open up in your email to find. So I got an email today, this is a very good thing, from a 1969 graduate of Marlborough High School named David Middleton, who's working with a group of veterans to get a USS Thresher monument or memorial in Arlington National Cemetery. And he contacted me asking about the status of the Thresher, USS Thresher Memorial, and I didn't know where that was or the story behind it. So I took some pictures and sent them to him. It is at the entrance of Thresher Drive, right off of Union Street, going into the Whitcomb School. In talking with John Galoni today, I found out as well that there's a plan to raise it up even more. So he was delighted with the pictures, sent me a link, and I just want to take 2 minutes to talk about the story. If you know about the story of the Thresher, stop me. But it was a nuclear-powered attack submarine that was the the flagship, the best of its time. It was commissioned in 1961. It was the world's most technologically advanced nuclear power submarine. It went out on a mission to go down as far as it could with another rescue ship next to it. There were 16 officers, 129 crew members, and some 16 civilian engineers. And after 15 minutes, it disintegrated in the water. And Marlborough High School actually lost 3 graduates. And this happened on April 10th, 1963. So there is a group of Navy officers and folks in Washington lobbying to have a memorial. And we have that memorial there, and I never knew the reason for Thresher Drive being named what it is. So there's my bit of history. And it sank off about 200 miles in deep sea off the coast of Boston after having been launched from the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. So there you go. We're a bit of history, and he was certainly happy to get the pictures today. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Bergeron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to briefly update the committee on a couple items. The first is I did attach the balances from the food service accounts. We are slightly above last year, but not so far out of the realm of being close enough. So I know we did change that policy early in the year. We have been tracking it, and we hopefully will be taking advantage of some programs next year. We hope to be eligible for free breakfast programs, although we won't take advantage of the full CEP that we've talked about and I presented on earlier this year. We do believe there might be some opportunities at the elementary level to do free breakfast, which would drastically improve these numbers because a lot of the charging does come from breakfast as well as lunch. But I did provide those for you to see, and they're not so far out of the realm. They're pretty close to where we were last year. We're still going through personnel changes in the FY19 budget. My goal is to give you back the budget with the changes after we've ratified the agreement with the teachers. We're going through some changes in the budget with personnel, so I don't want to keep giving them to you over and over. I'd rather give you one that is more complete after we've made some of the more significant changes. Part of the reason behind that is with the MOU, there are some positions that were eliminated from the recognition clause, so we're in the process now of handling that with the MEA, and once a lot of those things get done, I should be able to give you an updated copy showing you where some of those FTEs are flowing from the elementary level to the middle school and high for the intervention positions. Don't want to steal the thunder of committee member Ryan, but with the potential passing, I should say with the passing of the bond for the school project on April 23rd, there's some operational projects that we need to immediately get working on. And one of them is looking at redistricting of the K through 5 elementary schools for the opening of the school in September of 2020. It's a rather large project, and it's something that I believe that it would be helpful for the district to have a consultant work with us and get that project off the ground and get it start working. We've identified funding within the school budget for next year to be able to start the project and continue it the next year into FY20. The other thing that I think would be very important to do is start to look at our transportation policies. specifically around the walking zones and, for neighborhood schools, what is an appropriate walking zone. Obviously, and you've heard me say this before, we just want to make sure that we have, good, reasonable policies that we can actually implement. We don't want to make something that makes it more difficult for folks to get their kids to school. So those are two projects that I think we need to get started on sooner than later. The reason I'm bringing them forward is they might cross the threshold of the $25,000, so we might have to put out an actual RFP or an IFB to bid them to see what will come in. There are some, for the redistricting, there's a firm in Cambridge that's pretty well known nationwide that does this type of work. They're very good at it. They did Charlotte-Mecklenburg, they've done Cambridge, they've done several of the larger school systems, but they also will do smaller school systems like ours. So there's different firms out there who can help us with that, and we need to engage them to see what the total cost would be. So at this time, there's no action, but just trying to keep everybody updated as to there are going to be some operational things that we're going to have to start getting on and start working on literally July 1st and start working on some of those plans moving forward. The FY18 spend down is in full swing. We will have some excess funds this year that we're going to put towards capital. We will be able to fund the technology capital plan for this year in full. So what Mr. Platty has presented to you, we're moving forward with that whole plan. It's going to be a replacement of projectors. It's going to be a stage replacement of iPads that we were very fortunate to get a large grant of all those iPads. Now we can start replacing them in a good cycle. Replace laptops for teachers and also Chromebooks. So we'll be able to do all of that. And then any additional monies that are left over, I'm working with Jody O'Brien to make sure we prepay tuitions for students who are turning 22 next year, give us some breathing room. And then I'll work with Commissioner Galoni to see if there's any capital items that we can knock off the list, especially in the safety and security areas. That's my goal. So hopefully we can get a lot of these projects done and get a nice cushion into next year and continue what has been pretty successful finances for the past couple of years.
Any questions? Questions? Seeing none. Public participation. Any public participation? Public participation. Seeing none. Before and after school programs.
Thank you. We're looking to have the extension to the Kidsborough for a one-year term from July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018. I'm sorry, we're looking for one more year beyond that. It was approved in 2014. I remember that presentation that was held here, and then ever since we have been presenting this for 4 additional one-year periods, and this is at the sole discretion of the school committee. So they're currently operating at all of the elementaries in addition to Whitcomb, and we are recommending that you approve the 4th renewal lease with Kidsborough from July 1st, 2018 till the following June 30th.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. This is policy.
Mrs. Policy, thank you. Wow, such a nice title. So before we start going through all of them, one that I need to, at minimum, table for tonight, due to some new information that Superintendent Grulich shared with me, would be search and seizure. There was a new piece of legislation that just had been presented by Tom Scott to MASS, which just happened within the last, I don't know, couple days or whatever, which has some changes specifically around the SOR, which means that we need to go back and potentially have changes to the MOU with the police department. And so in doing so, and having a conversation with Ms. Gorlick about this today, it just seemed that since this is going to be a brand-new policy for us anyway, that we should make sure that we had everything in line before going ahead and putting something new onto the books anyway. So,
Can I ask a question, though?
Certainly.
Since the revised version, or the last draft that we got,
yeah,
basically said that we would abide by whatever the MOU and the SOR was, why does it matter what legislation there is if those are separate documents from the policy?
Our feeling was that there are a number of different conflicting pieces of information within this piece of legislation that we literally just saw,
right.
that we wanted to take it back and make sure that the chief felt like everything was lined up, as opposed to us just making an assumption it was, because there was just some different language that was in the legislation that was very different. So that's literally why we just felt it was better to not proceed with a vote until we at minimum went back and had the conversation with the police chief. So I'm not anticipating we're gonna have to hold it off for long, but since it's brand new, it just seemed like why push it forward until we went back and double checked. So if you're okay with that, I'd like to make a motion to table it and, make sure that policy committee checks it again.
Motion made and seconded at the table. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Okay, thank you. So, working down the list, these have been presented to everyone for a first read, and now we were looking at moving them forward for a vote. So I'm going to take each one separately, please, because there have been some amendments that have come through. So the first one would be Policy 1.100, Policy of Non-Discrimination. And I had received a question relative to having the district contacts on the policy itself, rather than not necessarily just within, say, the handbooks, and put a point of reference. And, I kind of put that forward. We did have that discussion around the table. Honestly, I couldn't remember offhand why it wasn't like, yes, let's do it in the handbooks, other than I think our past history has been, we've continued to list the main contacts on our policy, and yes, then it was supposed to be reviewed each year. So, I kind of put that out. I'd like to make a motion for us to move forward on a vote with this, and then any discussion if
Motion to
necessary.
move policy number 1.1. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. 2.2.
Okay, so 2.2 would be legal status policy. The only change on this was really just an update to the logo. No other changes on this one. I'd like to make a motion to approve as is.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
2.21.
Policy 2.210, powers and duties policy. As noted, there were a few changes. Really, the change was just regarding the designation of one member and an alternate about signing the accounts and such. So I'd like to make a motion to move forward as amended.
Motion made and seconded to approve 2.21. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
Policy 2.221.
Policy 2.221, qualifications policy, relative to school committee member qualifications. We felt that 2 seemed kind of an expectation, I guess. So it seemed a little bit redundant to have something in here that was a regular expectation of a human being that would want to be doing this anyway. So we felt like it should be removed, and then 3 would then become 2. So I'd like to make a motion to move forward as amended.
Motion made and seconded to approve 2.221. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. 2.222.
Thank you. Policy 2.222, faculty representative on committee. The change was the logo change. I'd like to make a motion to approve as is.
Motion made and seconded to approve 2.222. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. 2.223.
Thank you. Policy 2.223, Student Advisory Committee. This was just as well a logo change, so I'd like to make a motion to approve as is.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. 2.224.
Thank you. Policy 2.224, which is student representative on committee. I did have one question from a committee member about number 2 was, this student shall be elected chairperson by a majority vote of the Student Advisory Committee prior to the first day of June each year and shall serve for a term of 1 year. And the question was whether that was in practice or not.
Ask the representative.
I was not voted by anyone. I was nominated by teachers.
Okay. So, I mean, I hear you. We actually had a conversation around the table that we felt that we were going to need to make sure that we spoke with the principal to make sure that that was being done because we didn't know whether that was happening at that point. Do you have any feeling about whether you know from a past practice, whether that has really been happening? I mean, obviously per your year.
I think it's kind of been the trend that students who start freshman year by senior year kind of go in. That's the trend I've seen in my time here. I don't know if there's ever been a vote.
Because when are elections done
For
class officers?
at the end of the year.
Right, so,
So it wouldn't be that case. You wouldn't,
right, it's prior to the first day of June is
and the
what's
same
written
with
on
the,
here.
right, yeah. So I think the policy has to be reviewed with the, not only the building principal, but the advisors to this, to see what the practice is and, or what the intention is supposed to be. And what do we want it to be? Because they're not meeting.
I don't remember there's ever been the need for an election. Are there many people who vied for your seat, Heidi?
No.
No, okay. All right. Yeah.
You sure, Heidi? No. So, you know, would you like this to just be taken back? I mean, we can proceed on a discussion with the building principal as well as with the advisory committee. What's the pleasure?
It seems like an easy thing to add in, and or whatever practice is, you know, it doesn't seem like it's substantive to me, but I'm not a voting member, so.
Well, I would tend to agree, but you know. Any thoughts? Anyone?
My feeling would only be that if it's a policy, that it should be a policy that means
Reflects
something.
practice.
Yeah, that
Reflects
means
practice.
something. If you put words on paper and they don't mean anything,
No,
what's the point of having a policy? So I think,
I agree.
I'll make a motion to table it.
Okay.
Motion made and seconded to table. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Okay, and then, let's see, policy 2.250, relative to vacancies. This was a logo change, so I'd like to make a motion to approve as is.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion?
There's a word here that says join. I think it should be joint in the second sentence. Not substantive again. The remaining members of the school committee shall meet in joint convention. Joint?
Yep.
Joint.
Okay.
Yep.
Is it, and this ties in with the city code?
Yes.
Okay.
The joint committee, sorry. So, I'd like to make a motion with the friendly amendment.
Motion made and seconded to approve as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. 8.012.
Thank you. So, policy 8.012, the health and wellness policy. So you'll see multiple changes that had been in there. I was contacted by Ms. Matthews to appropriately make sure that we were adding in where we are seeing John Stalker. We probably want to actually add in John C. Stalker, because it kind of makes things very different to just reference as John Stalker. Yeah, so don't Google the other, it just doesn't work. And then there was another amendment that Ms. Matthews suggested was on page 1, under number 1, physical education. the last sentence, a certified physical educator will teach. So that way, or.
That was another one. I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
Got it.
So that's an amendment that was suggested. And then another area that she suggested that we take a look at was number 6, where it was relative to food service director responsibilities, yet there are a number of responsibilities under here that are relative to the food service staff. So, my thought around this, Mrs. Matthews, was food service director and food service staff responsibilities.
Yeah, and it was more because it's the heading is food service director responsibilities. And while the director has to ensure that their staff has things, if you read it, it doesn't flow to that. So that's all it really was how do you make it flow that it not only does the director have to be serve safe, but 2 staff members have to also. So that was more of what it was, just the flow of the bullets that are under there.
So for me, I was making a suggestion of modifying that with food service director and food service staff responsibilities, because as we were pointing out, having the discussion with Mr. Bergeron, it is something that the food service director needs to make sure of the staff doing that within each of the structures, and each of the cafeterias are a little bit different. Does that?
Then I guess my question back would be, we'll just use bullet A, which says, we'll have the knowledge of all menus, food products, nutritional content, and ingredients, so on and so forth. Not all staff's gonna know that, but the director's gonna know that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean.
Managers.
The food managers,
Right.
because it's not just the director, but then there's a manager within each of the groups that does have that, not all of the staff. So there's certain staff members within each of the groupings of the cafeterias that.
Right, so
does
maybe
have that.
an easier thing would be to say, since those are the food director responsibilities, to say, ensure that 2 members or 2 staff members have serve safe or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because they're the ones making sure that those bullets are being adhered to.
Yeah, we have to have someone who's serve safe certified in every cafeteria, but we've gone above and beyond, as we've talked about.
Right, I was just using that as an
All of the
example.
members have that.
Yeah, but the last bullet says 2 staff in each cafeteria will be trained in CPR and choking safety. So,
And that was more of a level of minimum as opposed to.
Well, right.
maximum, so.
That's
So,
fine.
would you prefer for us to take this back and
No.
then, and modify it so it specifies out?
No.
Staff versus director? Or by having food service director and food service staff responsibilities, it alleviates that
I think it
concern?
alleviates it.
Okay. So, and then under number 7, I had missed changing fund dash raising to fundraising altogether, one word. So we were trying to make it consistent throughout, and that had just gotten missed, so that would be a copy change. So other than that, I think that was,
I had one other thing, was
Oh.
on number 2.
and I must have missed that, my
Well,
apologies.
the issue is the teaching of wellness and health model 5 through 12 or 6 through 12. Because the building set up is 5 through 12 right now, but in 2 years and do we teach health and wellness?
So health is in the educational plan for 5th grade, for the new buildings, for all the buildings. And I was meeting with Todd about that earlier today. So we will
Perfect.
continue that.
Perfect, perfect.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to move forward with the amendments that have happened previous as well as then today.
Motion made and seconded to approve as amended. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Acceptance of donations. Hannaford Help School Program, Marlboro High School, $831.
Motion to accept.
Motion made and seconded to accept. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Reports of school committee subcommittees.
Well, I know most of you have already heard by now, but our, the funding for the new school was approved last night at the city council meeting. So yay.
Moving forward.
Yes, we are. Thank you to all our city councilors who voted in favor.
Site people have been down there working, surveyors have been down there, so they're really trying to, as soon as school gets out, put some more efforts down there to make sure, as soon as the bid comes back, we're ready to go.
Good.
Any other reports? Ms. Hennessy?
Thank you. So policies continuing to chug away. We have another policy meeting on Thursday, and then actually another one next week. And there are a few additional policies that have been brought forward that we will get on those agendas so that we can get moving on them. So there we go.
Thank you. Any other reports? Seeing none, members forum. Ms. Matthews?
I'm actually Miss Bodenhedinger right now.
Okay.
She has asked me to pass on that if anybody is interested in being on the MASC Resolutions Committee, the meeting will be held here in Marlborough, not here, but in Marlborough, on July 9th. And you received the packet from MASC, which has all the forms and stuff in it.
You can get me on that committee?
I already signed you up. Didn't you know that?
Fantastic.
And so on July 9th, you get to, if you want to participate, you get to review, debate, and choose the resolutions for the November meeting.
Thank you for that information.
Of course.
Very enlightening. Ms. Hennessy?
Thank you. So excited. Day on the Hill is tomorrow, and that's one of the reasons we don't have Ms. Bodenhedinger with us tonight, because she is wearing her hat of, her MASC board member hat tonight. She is attending a meeting. I don't know if anyone else is able to go. I'm not able to go this year. You're going? So, yay. Big representative. And the other thing I wanted to say is I got to sit in on the SWAC committee for Michelle. I guess it was right before vacation. And it was, we had a really good discussion. See, I'm like looking out there for our public participation person. But it was a really good conversation around, curriculum needs, and actually a lot of conversation about athletic participation, and really having some good open dialogue with some of the students that were there as their student representatives, trying to make sure that we're supporting them all over. So just thought it was really good. A lot of good people working together. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add to that, Mrs. Hennessy? The SWAC, some of the SWAC representatives are speaking at the District Parent Council next Friday. Mary Zakruski and Julie Dahlbeck, and there may be one or two others. So, good work.
Any other members? Ms. Ryan?
Well, usually we promote upcoming events, do we not?
Oh, yeah.
So we have the MHS Spring Concert on Thursday.
Yes.
Then I also noticed the National Honor Society induction on May 3rd. We also have the All City Jazz Night on May 4th. And let's not forget our newly scheduled May 7th meeting for the incoming fifth graders at Wickham. I think I got them all before our next meeting. Is that everything?
I think so.
Any other members? Seeing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, opposed, carries. Thank you very much.